Margaret Josephs hits back at claim she's feuding with Dorinda Medley following on-air disagreement. Margaret Josephs and Dorinda Medley caused a stir earlier this week when they canceled their live tour, Blonde Ambition, a Real Housewives experience. The big decision came after an on-air disagreement on the Jeff Lewis show between the two Bravo-brities. The drama started when Margaret interrupted Dorinda, and the Real Housewives of New York alum fired back. During a commercial break, tensions escalated, with Margaret alleging that Dorinda had yelled at a staff member on one of their recent tour dates. "Just do me a favor. Don't speak for me. Don't speak for me," Dorinda could be heard saying. Now that the remainder of the tour has been scrapped, many fans questioned whether the drama continued to escalate between the two women following their radio show appearance. One thing we've learned about them, both on their respective Real Housewives series, is that they both like to get the last word in during arguments. Margaret and Dorinda are fiery Bravo-brities. As a result, we're surprised they were able to come together and launch a live tour. Amid continued speculation about their friendship, Margaret took to the comments of an Instagram account that said they were no longer friends. "This is HW bickering between friends. Show canceled because of scheduling changes and multiple events the same evening. It's not that deep," she commented alongside a heart emoji. For her part, Dorinda has yet to respond to the rumored beef, and there's a good chance she won't. It seems like the two friends had a genuine disagreement, but have managed to fix things in the aftermath. The recent trend among Real Housewives is to join forces for live shows and podcasts. It's a great way to maximize their earnings from being associated with Bravo, but it doesn't always work. Are Dorinda and Margaret still associated with Bravo? Dorinda is no longer associated with RHONI after the long-running series rebooted its entire cast 2 years ago. The good news is that she's reportedly working on a show set at her home, Bluestone Manor. Margaret is still attached to the Real Housewives of New Jersey, but it's unclear whether she'll be a cast member when filming resumes in 2025. Producers are reportedly close to rebooting the entire cast because the tensions between the current ladies have made the show difficult to film. Margaret has many ties to the current cast, but she didn't have the best season, which could indicate her time is over. What are your thoughts on Margaret's admission about the drama between her and Dorinda? The sunlit living room of Margaret Joseph's home in Englewood, New Jersey, was a stark contrast to the drama unfolding in the media. The opulent yet quirky space, filled with vibrant colors and vintage accents, reflected Margaret's signature style. But her mood was far from sunny. Sitting on her plush velvet couch, sipping a cup of green tea, Margaret scrolled through her phone, her manicured fingers moving with increasing irritation. The headlines blared accusations of a brewing feud between her and Dorinda Medley, stemming from an on-air disagreement during the latest episode of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Margaret and Dorinda at war, one article declared. Friendship over for Dorinda and Margaret, another teased. Margaret sighed, shaking her head. "This is getting ridiculous," she muttered to herself before deciding it was time to set the record straight. Later that day, Margaret sat in her home office, her assistant Jen by her side, helping her draft a statement. But Margaret, being Margaret, opted for a more personal touch, a video message for her fans. Setting up her phone on a tripod, she adjusted her leopard print blazer and fluffed her iconic platinum blonde pigtails. The camera began rolling, and Margaret leaned in with her signature mix of warmth and sass. "Hello, my fabulous Marge Army," she began, flashing a bright smile. "I'm coming to you today because, frankly, I'm tired of the nonsense. I've seen the headlines, I've read the articles, and I need to clear the air. Am I feuding with Dorinda Medley? Absolutely not. She paused for effect, raising a perfectly arched brow. Yes, we had a disagreement on Ultimate Girls Trip. But let's be real, who doesn't have disagreements on these shows? That's the nature of the beast. You put a bunch of big personalities in a house together, and sparks are bound to fly. But that doesn't mean we're mortal enemies. Dorinda and I have a mutual respect for each other, even if we don't always see eye to eye. Margaret leaned back in her chair, her tone softening. Look, I'll admit it. Dorinda and I are very different people. She's all about her Berkshire estate and keeping things Bluestone Manor classy, while I'm over here with my entrepreneurial spirit and love for bold fashion choices. But that's what makes our dynamic interesting. The disagreement in question had taken place during a heated dinner discussion about loyalty and friendships. Dorinda had passionately defended her tendency to speak her mind, while Margaret had countered with her belief in choosing battles wisely. Voices had been raised, wine glasses clinked louder than intended, and the tension had been palpable. The moment the episode aired, social media exploded. Fans took sides, with some praising Dorinda for her authenticity and others applauding Margaret for standing her ground. Memes flooded Twitter, with captions like, "When Dorinda says clip," and Margaret claps back. But for Margaret, the social media frenzy wasn't about entertainment. It was about ensuring the narrative didn't spiral out of control. After filming her video, Margaret reached out to Dorinda directly. The two women had an honest conversation over the phone. "Dorinda, darling," Margaret began, "you know this whole food thing is nonsense, right?" Dorinda chuckled on the other end of the line. "Oh, Margaret, if I let every little headline get to me, I'd never leave the manor." The two women laughed, the tension between them dissipating like morning mist. "You know, they always need a villain," Dorinda added. "And sometimes that villain is us." Margaret nodded, even though Dorinda couldn't see her. "True. But I think it's important we show people that strong women can disagree without tearing each other down." "Agreed," Dorinda said. "Now let's plan a lunch date and give them something else to talk about." Margaret's video went live the next morning, and within hours, her fans flooded the comments with support. "This is why we love you, Marge, always keeping it real," one fan wrote. "Team Margaret forever." But low-key loved Dorinda too, another admitted. Dorinda, true to her word, posted a cheeky Instagram story later that day, featuring a photo of her and Margaret from a past event. The caption read, "Feuding. Please, we're just two strong women with opinions. Deal with it." The media, of course, latched onto the reconciliation just as quickly as they had the supposed feud. Headlines shifted from drama to camaraderie. Margaret and Dorinda prove women can disagree and still be friends. Ultimate Girls Trip stars shut down feud rumors. But for Margaret, the real victory was in controlling her narrative. Sitting back in her living room, her beloved dog Bella curled up at her feet, she felt a sense of peace. The phone buzzed with a text from Dorinda. "Lunch next week. My treat. And don't you dare try to pay." Margaret smiled, typing back a quick reply. "Only if you let me pick the wine." Reflecting on the whirlwind of the past week, Margaret realized how far she'd come in handling public scrutiny. In her earlier days on Real Housewives of New Jersey, she might have let the drama consume her. But now, with years of experience and a thriving fan base, she knew how to rise above it. "Drama is fleeting," she mused aloud, picking up Bella and giving her a cuddle. "But true friendships, those last." As she settled into her couch, her mind wandered to the next adventure. She and Dorinda had talked about a potential collaboration. A joint event combining Margaret's entrepreneurial ventures with Dorinda's flair for hosting. The idea excited her. Now that, Margaret said with a grin, would really give them something to talk about. And with that, she closed her laptop, ready to face whatever came next with her signature blend of humor, grit, and, of course, a fabulous outfit.